Alrighty, we're down here in the war room. This is my little TV room downstairs. We got it decorated for the holidays. Here's my desk where we do all the reveals. And right here on the shelves are all my goodies. Now something that's missing, you can see one of them right here, it's not complete, are my flint jars. So for the last 2.5 years, we've gotten 2 of them completely full. These are old gallon mason jars my grandmother gave me. I think it's in a shorter video somewhere in the feed, I know. But I had a little thing I wanted to do. I've been thinking about it for a while. I know there has to be some worked pieces in here. There just has to be. There's thousands of pieces of flint in here. And I've thrown a lot of this stuff in way back when I wasn't as good at noticing some of the micro flaking, secondary flaking on pieces. And I've sat and stared at these jars for well over a year now, wondering if there's maybe something in here that I passed up that we could pull back out and throw in our actual artifacts. And if I had to put a $10 bill down on it now, win, lose, or draw, I'd bet on that there's at least 1 or 2 pieces in these. So we're going to take one of them at a time. We're going to spill them out, slowly put it back in, and see if we don't identify any broken pieces of artifacts or just little blades or tools, anything like that that we might have missed. So we're going to get into it. Alrighty, we're doing the best we have of what we have. I'm kind of got the camera propped up. But here comes the easy part. Just taking one of these jars, just slowly spreading it out on the towel. Hopefully don't lose any off the towel. It's actually a little harder than I thought it was going to be. There's some big pieces in here stopping it up. But get it all out. Once we have one out, all we're going to do is just slowly put everything back in. Probably starting with the big stuff, June and Christmas. And there we go. There we go. Got it all out. We will spread this out. Maybe throw some stuff out that we know isn't anything. And find us some artifacts. I can tell you right now, I already found 1 or 2 pieces. Just real quick with my eyes, I realized that we overlooked when we threw them in here. So I'm excited to get into this. And we'll get back with you once we picked a few things out. Well, one thing I wanted to immediately point out, and I figured it would happen, is we have accidentally thrown some pottery shards in. So there's some unexpected artifacts there. I was looking more for flaked flint, but we're going to get into this now. We'll probably run into more pottery if I had to guess. So we'll keep our eye out for it as well. All right, so one thing I want to showcase is the absolute variety of flint. I mean, these are all different colors. You got a couple grays there that look similar, but even they're different. There's browns, reds, blues. I just picked up just a handful right off the bat just looking at the pile. I haven't even picked through and tried to find every color there is to find, but some of these come out and they look really, really, really blue and really, really orange and red. They're kind of the rarer pieces, but just the variety there is insane. Like, look at this. This is a see-through piece. You can't tell there, but just look how smooth and caramel and creamy it is. You could go to the river and not find anything, and you'll run into stuff like that. And if you like flint and you like those kind of translucent pieces of rock and quartz. Let me find a piece of quartz here there's a real big one here. There's a piece. It's see-through and it kind of glitters and shines. You'll find all kinds of rocks keep you busy down there if you're a rock hound, even if you don't find artifacts. But if we find any of the cooler looking multicolored pieces, we'll stop and show you those too. But I mean, that's the whole reason I keep these and put them in a jar. They're just so beautiful to look at. All right, we got jar number 1 done. Over here is like fossils. I found a bullet, There's some buttons. There's all kinds of stuff in there. Bone pieces that were probably flint pebbles, but they didn't have any working on them. It's just stuff that needed pulled out. Over here's stuff that's got working to it. And then up there's a bunch of pottery shards that we pulled out. So everything that we took out, we took about a quarter back out of that jar. So we'll look at this stuff here in a little bit and make our decision on what we think about everything. I'll show you every piece and the stuff on it that made me think it might have been at least worked at. Not everything is artifact grade. Some of the stuff in here is artifacts. There's some things I found that actually were busted up pieces of artifacts that we just overlooked. Now this jar here we just looked through, this is the one that we filled up from like June to September. We filled it up really fast when we found that really good spot on the river. And this is after we kind of started and really knew what we were doing. This is our most recent jar. This one back here, this one is halfway to 3/4 of when we're trying to figure things out. So I got a good feeling this one, our first jar here, is the one that's going to have lots of goodies in it. So we're going to get poured out next, and then we're going to go through it. All right, we're going to get in the good jar now. This is the one I think is going to have all the good stuff in it. This is from our very first hunts. Up until I think earlier this year, I can't remember. We did a video short of filling it up, but I think in here we're going to have lots of stuff. I can already see right there, looks like a piece that's worked on. You can see that right there. And I got a good feeling I probably missed some triangles and stuff like that because I didn't really know what the Madison points looked like too well when I first started looking. So I'm going to get in this bad boy here. Hopefully I don't break it again. It's got a break in it where one of the rocks busted it. Everything's out. Got a couple fossils and bones there already, we see. We'll put those over here. Well, we're going to get started and we're going to figure everything out in this one now. Alright, this is everything after going through both jars. That's the oldest jar over here. And all this stuff over here was the jar we filled up earlier this summer. And up here is just stuff I completely ruled out. Just piece of unbroken flint pebbles and rocks that didn't belong in there at all. Some sedimentary rocks. Right here's a small but still sizable pile of core marked pottery that somehow got in there. Here's a bunch of bone and fossils. We'll put that in the fossil pile. I'm not sure what this thing is. I think it might be like a battery or maybe just a piece of punched out metal. But this is a button that we found in one of our videos. I can't remember what it said. I looked at it one day, but yeah, that's all stuff that's definitely not supposed to be in there. It should have been in other piles or just left on the beach. And up here we have a lot of rocks that seem to have working on them, or definitely do. A lot of them are just scraper pieces, like this one here. I found this in the site where we find a lot of our Fort Ancient stuff, and there's a lot of these pebbles, and they're worked on one side like that. And I think they got them to a point, they either took the other half and worked it, or they tried to work it and then they found somewhere where they struggle with, like I think that fracture there probably made that piece unworkable. So they got that side there. When they started on this side, they started to struggle. And he just threw them down, and you find a lot of those in that site. That's not one. I don't know if that came out of it or not, but you could see where it's been worked on there. I've got a bunch of those. A lot of them are back in here because they're just so big that, and they didn't have enough working. Like that one, you could tell they were really going to use that, or we're going to try to. I got that piece there. It has a piece that reminds me of fluting on it. I don't know if it's like I know it's not obviously not fluted artifact, but I don't know if they're using it as like a spall, maybe to get little bladelets off of it. Just different pieces. It seemed that might have been a preform, but it's just real crudely worked all the way around. Little pieces that were probably just used as tools. That's got reworking there on one edge each. This one here was another one of those pebbles in that spot. You could tell they worked all the way around this. And they got on this side. I don't know if these pieces made it hard to work on or what, but more of these tiny little pebbles that are kind of worked on one side. Just some random pieces there. It seemed like I had some secondary flaking. I thought that might have been a spalled off piece, the way it's thinned out. And these down here seem like pieces from real artifacts. This looks like a busted up point when you look at it. It's hard to tell in the camera, but this I think was one of those crescent shaped pieces. You could see up top there. It's just all busted up. And that's got a corner like it was going to be a Fort Ancient blader point. And that seemed to be a perforator that broke. There's another worked triangle corner there. So, and that's the first one. So that's everything there. And we made a lot of discoveries in that one. Now this one here, I was sure we'd find a bunch more. And I don't know, I think it's fairly even for the most part. But there was definitely some more defined stuff that we just completely missed or threw out. There's some bullets and other metals. There's the rocks to be thrown out. More fossils and bones. These little pieces I think are pieces to just random work stuff. I think that's a little turtleback scraper, and I think these are little, what they call colloquially thumb scrapers, little tool implements that are worked all the way around. All those up top are, over here, scrapers or some type of tools that have flaking on one side. Worked at, and they kind of quit. That might have been a little pebble there from a Fort Ancient side, I'm not sure. That's got working on that side. Just what everybody colloquial calls scrapers. There's a little preform that we forgot about. More pottery. Possibly a gunflint. It's pretty square. I'm on the fence about it. Those gunflints are pretty square. There's some spall cores up here. Here's another one of those pebbles they started to work on. I actually got both sides to that before they quit. You can see the cortex there. Another one there. That's pretty much what most of these are. Tool worked on. That one actually got most of the way through before they quit on it. And then in here, just various tools or whatever pieces. That's just a quartz piece there that it's worked all the way around, so I kind of assume that might be a tool, but I'm still not sure on it. Little uniface piece there, it's worked on that side. There's a corner of a piece made out of like that chalcedony or chalcedony, however you pronounce it. Real good piece there, worked all the way around. Little uniface. A couple more that have some working on them. This is actually a little notch off a busted off arrowhead that we found out in the Hughes River. And then just more pieces with working on them. There's another corner to what I thought might be like a Adina blade or something. And then that one there's worked all the way around. Little scraper piece or something like that. But yeah, as you progress, you don't realize how much stuff that you might pick up. And we kind of had that idea starting out, you know, pick up flint and keep it in jars. At first it was, the idea was it looks nice and we could do like a mosaic, which we still plan on doing. But then we got to a point where I kind of realized we had a lot of what if pieces and I didn't want to just leave them and discard them. So we found a decorative way to keep all this stuff. It wasn't such an eyesore. And now we're sitting here today and we've got all these pieces that I know are tools now that I have a better skill set for this. So I'm really glad that we decided to keep these. We'll get rid of all that, just out in the flower bed. All that. One of these days I'll have a flower bed full of extra rocks. And then we'll put everything else here where it goes. Probably start our own little extra tackle box for this stuff we overlooked. So that was a pretty fun little experiment. It was probably a little bit boring just going over everything so slow monotonously here in the house, not walking on the river. But for those of you that tuned in and stayed till the end, I really appreciate it. We had a lot of fun doing this and it helped expand our collection, put it in something that we could show off. So I appreciate everybody watching. Have a good one.